Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Juan Martinez with This Is Real.
And Stephanie Reyes.
Man, I'm excited. Every week, I feel like I say I'm excited every single week.
But you really are. Every single week. That's
I am.
real true excitement.
Yeah, but I mean, so what's happening? Let's talk a little bit about what's happening before we introduce our guest, which I'm so excited about. Yeah. She's jamming. She's killing the airwaves. She's killing the airwaves. Come on, she's resurrecting music. That's all. That's my oversaved side. She's resurrecting music. But let me tell you something. We're getting letters, like DMs, like all this stuff about the show. But the exciting news, I don't know if everybody in the Houston side knows this.
Yeah,
I've been posting about it. Yeah. So now what has happened is that This Is Real has been in Houston, reaching about 130,000 inmates every single Saturday. Mm-hmm. Outside, I always talk, because obviously there's people listening in their cars and all that. But I get excited about the dudes incarcerated because they're just waiting for that show to come on. You know what I mean? So big shout outs to the people that keep listening to us and sending us letters.
Yeah, thank you for sending us letters, showing us love and support. We really appreciate it. And we open every single letter that you guys send.
Yeah, and so what happens now is that we have just launched, 2 weeks ago, we launched in Dallas. So now we're
Fort
Worth area.
Houston, greater Houston area, all the way down to Galveston. Now we're in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yep, Lake Charles up here, down there, all the way to the corners, I believe. I believe a little bit of Oklahoma catches us too. You know what I'm saying? And then last weekend, we launched on 106.7 FM in Austin.
Woo! We
Come on,
over Texas.
It's crazy. It was crazy because I was in the radio years ago.
Yeah.
And when we planted the church, I kind of walked away because I felt like God was like, you can't do them now, and I'm like, no, I love the radio. I like to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I feel like God gave me this personality. But the thing is that when sometimes God will put a pause button on something. And when he brought it back like in like months. We're like do everywhere. It's like, whoa. So don't rush God. He know what he doing.
Yeah.
And that's the message
all the way
there.
Back around.
Yeah, it comes back around. Now I got my assistant who assists. Even in co-host.
Even on the radio.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny of what God is doing, and so we're really, really, really excited about that. And so check it out. Here we have today. Juan Martinez, aka Dr. Love.
Yeah.
And I get excited when I see love. When I see that word, I get excited. And it means to me, not just the emotional thing, but when I talk about love, I know somebody's denying himself at daily.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that type of depth. And here today we have with us a Detroit native that grew up loving music, right? As a teenager, she rapped secular music at local clubs around the age of 20. And then God started calling her to pursue her purpose. Shortly after, I'm not going to say the name, was rebaptized. Not only started to live a life seeking God, but also started to incorporate that lifestyle within her music. Check it out, Steph. In 2015, she created a Christian hip-hop female cipher. And in 2016, this thing went viral.
That's pretty amazing. A female cipher, though.
A female cipher. Look at you pumped right now.
Yeah, hey, I'm like, what?
It brings out the rap out of Stephanie. She's like, well, I had this one rap, But let me introduce you. Introduce her.
So man, it's just a great pleasure and an honor if you guys will give it up for Porsha Love.
Porsha Love. What's up?
How are you?
What's going on?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, man.
Great.
Look at the big smile. Yeah. The shirt says love. I mean, vibrant. Oh, he loves me.
Nice.
He loves me.
I
Get
love
the pedals.
That. I like the pedals. Is that your thing?
Romans.
Is that your thing?
Yeah. That's my merch.
Nice. Porsha Love. You're going to have to send out some merch, Porsha Love. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
That thing is lit. That thing is lit.
Thank you.
I just thought it said love in the middle, but when you pulled your hair to the side, bam, there it was. And so, man, tell them a little bit about who you are today and what you do in case somebody's like, Porsha Love.
Yeah, because you're from Detroit, but you were telling us earlier that you're actually you just moved to Georgia.
The ATL.
Yes.
The ATL. They don't even call it Georgia.
Yes.
It's the ATL.
Oh, ATL.
It's the ATL.
Yeah. Well, since I'm from the city, I'm from Detroit.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that are from the outskirts will go out of town and be like, oh, I'm from Detroit, but they're really from like Ferndale or something like that.
Yeah.
So we take that serious in the city. So since I don't live in ATL, I always just say Georgia. So I'm like, oh, it's Georgia.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
you know, gotta be loyal.
You gotta be loyal.
But yeah, so my name is Porsha Love. I'm from Detroit, born and raised, and I just moved to Georgia 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I'm a Christian rapper. I love music. I love God. I love people. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, but like, let me ask you a question, because here it says that you were.
Yeah, you were doing music in the clubs and stuff. So did you grow up, a believer? Did you grow up in church, or how was your background growing up? What did that look like?
Okay, so my childhood was bomb. Like, I had the best childhood in the world.
That's cool.
So I can't act like my father wasn't consistent, but I can't be, I can't
relate
beat
to
him down.
You can't beat him down.
Yeah. And I can't relate when people like, oh, my childhood was so terrible. I just be like my childhood was banging. So even though my childhood was like amazing, I wasn't raised in church, but I knew about God. Like, I was baptized at a young age. So I knew who he was. I just didn't know of a relationship, and
he
of
was
like holiness
far away.
and stuff.
Someone thought, God, if you can hear me.
Yeah, right.
That 1-800 number.
Exactly. Or get the pastor to pray because I'm not connected, I really didn't know much about God, but I started to rap. I did music in the world as well. So, and I made a song. I remixed a popular local song, and that went viral too. So I was like, okay, Jesus. Well, that wasn't Jesus, but I'm like, okay, whatever happened at that time. So, I just always been a lover of music, but I always hid it. Like, I would hide that I could rap because I thought I thought it was masculine. So I would never. Yeah, any guy I dated, even my mom, like, I never would. My family is full of like blue collar, professions and stuff. So me telling you like, oh, I want to rap, they're girl, go to school. Like, that's good, but go to school, So I always hid it.
I want to jump into something like right away, because I mean, when something that's just like, it's just like, wow, because even you talking right now, you're like, dated, the clubs, all the stuff. You would think, oh yeah, that girl, you know what I'm saying, but like, that's not it at all. You're out there publicly talking about purity.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if y'all understand what she means too. We're talking like she's like clean, like her shirt and stuff, like
a white robe,
like, hey, I'm pure, like because of the water she drinks. You know what I'm saying? She's talking like you have not been intimate with a man.
I haven't even kissed a man in 9 years.
Wow, big ups to you.
Yeah.
We need
the
how old are you?
I'm 29.
29.
Yeah. I'm my 20s.
You've been to the club. Wow. You rapped at the club. You've I mean, you ain't walking around in a bubble. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now there was guys dating you, and you're very pretty. Right, so they're like, okay, pretty, got the swag, and she rap, and they leaning in. What do you do? What? Like, what do you like? Hey, back up. Like,
okay, so before Christ, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, before
like,
Christ, sure.
I was in a club and I was, drinking,
doing your thing.
The typical, doing my thing.
Yeah.
So of course I'm kissing at that time.
Yeah. Got it.
But once I got
Jesus.
into God, right? Yeah. Once I got into God, I was just like, oh my God, this is so sacred. Like, I just wanted to please God, and it really was fear as well. I'm like, oh, I don't want it to lead to other things.
Sure.
So they don't even try it now. Like,
yeah.
Nobody
know.
Try it. Yeah, you already know.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to know.
9 years, especially at the age of 20, I feel like, to me, that was kind of like, mine is like the opposite. So like, I was like, all through high school, don't even look at me, and then right after high school, I was like, wildin'. So that was like the opposite, Obviously, I came back to my senses, but I believe like, at 20, that's like a really crucial age for a guy and a female,
Oh yeah, don't even talk.
Yeah.
So like, how did that look practically, Because I know one time you were sharing about how it's those open doors, right? It's the little steps it's the text message, it's the conversations, you know.
Snacks.
So
Yeah.
She called it snack.
oh yeah, she called it snack.
Snack.
You be out there snacking.
Yeah. So how did that look like for you as a 20-year-old and now as 29? Because it kind of changes. I feel like even as you get older.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's all about your environment. You know what I'm saying? Like once God saved me, I completely changed not just what I was physically doing, but where I was at. Good. So I wanted God so bad, you know, like, and I didn't know that the things that I used to do wasn't pleasing him. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So now that I had that eye-opening moment, I'm like, oh my God, I have to get it together. You know, because I want to go to heaven and I want my family to go to heaven and I want everybody to go to heaven. You know, you just have that moment where like, oh my God, I got to get it together.
Light bulb, the aha.
Yeah, you know, so I just like replaced myself. I moved, I changed my number, I stopped rapping, like, so I surrounded myself around people who were, you know, where I was at and greater. So that helped me not to indulge in the things that I used to do.
Wow, man, that's so good. That's important, really good. You know? I feel like sometimes we can say that we want to change something or we want to change a lifestyle or, you know, stay away from things that make us fall, but then we remain in the same environment. You know, we don't remove ourselves from there, or you just I feel like it's like a lie. You know, you try to lie to yourself and you're like, no, I'll be okay, I'll be strong enough, right? Like if you're not, if you struggle with alcohol, you're not gonna walk into a bar. You know, that doesn't make any sense. You know, so I think removing yourself and placing yourself in the right surrounding and the right environment is really important in that step. You know, to being fully committed to your purity, fully committed to your commitment with God.
I just think like God's design works best. Like I know in my story, like I was just jacked up my whole entire life until I got saved, and then Ruthie, my baby Ruth, that's who my wife is, and so she's the first woman in my whole entire life that I ever respected. That we didn't do anything. She actually was like, one day she was like, "Are you gay or you don't love me?" You know, because I wasn't like stepping to her like every other guy in the planet, you know. And I was like, "Nah, it's not that. I just know God has a calling on my life." And she was like upset, you know. She didn't, but I mean, who says that nowadays, you know?
Right.
And she's not computing. But what I've learned from it is that we waited, even though it was a year, you know? I mean, I was already later in age, and we were like, well, a year was enough. You know, I'm like, a year's enough, girl. I never done this. And so let's get married. And so, but the trust level, because somewhere in her mind, she knows that for a year, I guess she computed also, man, this guy loves the Lord because, you know, so there's a trust level now that we have that we wouldn't have had. I know if we did it the other way, you know? So I feel like God's design is always best. And even in that, you have to trust him because sometimes we sell ourselves cheap. It's like, you know, my son told me one time, he's like, yo, he was like, Dad, I was talking to him about, you know, because he's a good looking man, you know, I was like, look, don't be out there, you know, And he's like, Dad, you know, I'm not a Toyota. You know, everybody got a Toyota. He goes, this is a Ferrari. You know, like
period.
And so I was like, that's deep because if we valued ourselves at that type of level, then we just wouldn't. You don't go outside right now and see 15 Ferraris. You know what I'm saying? You'll see Toyotas. Nothing against Toyotas. You know what I'm saying? But Toyota's a good car. but you see Toyotas everywhere. Yeah. But a Ferrari is a valuable commodity. Like it's a rarity. You know, when you see one, everybody go, ooh. You know, like I was telling you before the conversation, I was like, girl, you a unicorn. You know, like
I like that.
You know, you're a unicorn. That's another shirt, girl. That's another shirt. Just send me that. Hey, I'm a unicorn.
Got you.
They'll be like, yo, with color and all popping. You know, they're like, yo, what does that mean? I'm a unicorn. I'm one of a kind. You know, and you are. And so, tell us a little bit about what are some of the things you do that, you know, because maybe somebody's listening and they're like, yo, that's good for her. Because you know what's funny, like those things are real difficult. There's a cost. There's just a good reaping. There's a good harvest from it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because you don't get all the drama. And I feel like, even though I don't feel like soul ties or like you don't really see the word soul tie like biblically, but I understand what people say. There's this locking that you do with these people. You can't stop thinking about them. You know, stuff, all this stuff, and then you don't end up with them.
Yeah, you're attached or emotionally or physically, you know?
Yes, it just brings so much drama. So tell us a little bit about the seatbelt, because I heard you talking about a seatbelt, and then go into something maybe where you can share some of the things that maybe you do, because it can't be like, maybe after a while it becomes easy, huh? I don't know.
No, never.
Yeah, never.
Every day.
Talk to us. Talk to us.
So like, I feel like when people think of, you know, like even with me saying like, oh, I've been saving myself or been pure for 9 years, they think like, oh, well, you can't relate to me. You know, like I just got saved 2 months ago, you know. It's like, no, I'm still human. I'm still very young. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it. Like every day it's a decision. It's just like serving the Lord. I have to physically choose to serve him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's temptations every day. It's things that happen every day. Like, you know, it's like, I have to make a decision to be pure. I have to be like, okay, because I don't always want to be. Yeah. Like, sure. I remember times, you know, I remember times where I told God, and because I talk to God how we talking. Yeah. And I told God, and I'm like I was just depressed and I was irritated, and I'm like, I'm just gonna call my ex, you know, whatever. Like, and I told God, I said, well, God, I'm gonna call him. So if he answered, then I'm gonna go over there because I'm gonna go over there.
We're gonna pray. We're gonna get into deep.
Okay, I was tired of life. I'm just like, whatever. I just need some like, I don't know, whatever. I'm just gonna go over there. He did not answer, and I didn't want to be kept. You know, I'm like, I don't want to be kept. I'm literally talking to God like this. And I'm like, God, I want to do my thing. I did your thing, and everybody else, I did what they wanted to do. Now I want to do me, you know, and he didn't answer. So I was salty. He didn't answer my phone call. And then I'm like, dang, I don't got nowhere else to go. So I just went over my pastor's house because their daughter is my best friend.
Oh, wow.
So that's cool.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. I went up. That's how I got saved. Okay. But I went over there and I was like, okay, whatever. You know, so now I'm all around these church people, you know, and they happy talking about the Lord. And I'm like, my spirit is like, it changed, you know. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm okay. And then he calls me later on that night, and I'm looking at the phone like, I don't want you now. Like,
get thee behind me. Get thee behind
you know, like, how dare you call me back? How dare you?
that was Porsha 5 hours ago. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't Porsha no more.
Yeah, that was like, this Porsha done grew up in hours. You know, I didn't grow in hours.
Yes, seriously. So the saying, like, he will keep you even when you don't want to be kept. When God wants you and he's, you know, sanctified you and he wants you set apart, I promise you, he will keep you. Because I didn't want to be kept. I'm like, not today. I was like, oh, okay, no, this is not about to happen. Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's a daily choice. It doesn't get easier, but you know how they say it don't get easier, but you get stronger. Yeah. Like, it don't get easier, but honestly, you do get stronger. But you have to continue to feed that growth. You know, even after 9 years, if I go back into listening to certain music, watching certain films, you know, indulging in certain conversations, it's nothing for me to fall.
Positioning.
You know
so you're talking about positioning right now, right? Like putting yourself in a place where you know because I always tell people when I go, hey, why'd you do it? They're like, I don't know. I mean, always, because obviously I come from prison, drugs, all that. I go like, tell me why you did it. And they're like, always, I don't know. And I'm like, yes, you do. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like,
you drove
know.
Yourself there. Yeah, you got off the car.
Yeah. Like, how do you mean you don't know?
You walked in that room.
Yeah. I go, yo, you would never.
There.
Yeah, because if I go, yo, so I always tell people, like, if you had a best friend who was like a lion, and they're like, a lion, I'm like, yeah, like, now he's lying, but like a lion, you know, like an animal. I'm like, would you? And he's like, yo, let's go to the meat market. Like, you wouldn't, and you wouldn't take him there, not if you, because he has a problem with it. He actually likes it. The correct answer is, look, I like it. So because you like it, you got to put boundaries. You know what you like. It ain't like you can see somebody that's fine and be like, yo, we're gonna hang out.
In this dark room
alone.
Alone. At 11:30.
Meditate on the word.
Yes. I mean, inboxing late at night on Facebook. Like, what do you think that is? Like, on the cool.
Right.
Yeah. That's the problem. Everybody wants to put themselves. It's like people addicts. You know, like if you struggling, you don't want to put yourself in a position that is going to mess you up, right?
Because it starts small. It starts as a seed. Like it starts as a thought.
Yeah.
You know, like first you just start thinking like, oh, and then you cast it down. Oh, let it be. You know, and then another thing happens and another thing happens. And, you know, the enemy isn't, especially when you've been in God for a minute, he's not just going to throw a man at you. You know, sometimes he will, but even when he do that, you like, okay, goodbye. You know, like you're more easily to reject that. But he starts with a small, you know, a seed. He's very patient, very cunning, you know. So he's like, okay, if I can just get her to trust this one guy, and you know, then they'll come over, then they'll hang out, then he'll seduce her. You know what I'm saying? So it starts as a seed and it begins to grow. So you have to like cut it. It's like, nope. I'll look like I'm too deep. Oh, you too deep? You don't watch that? Nope. I cover my eyes in the movie theaters. Like, nope. Like, I can't watch that. I can't look at that. Man. You know, it's like
now. Come on.
I don't mind, you know, looking deep or whatever, because it's like I have to protect myself. I know it starts as a seed, you know, it's something small.
That's really good.
I was laughing earlier because when you mentioned, you know, going over to your best friend's house, I literally had the same experience where I'm just like,
really?
My best friend's married, and I don't remember if like her daughter was just born or something like that. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just go over there. And I'm just sitting on the couch. They're over there, married couple with the baby, looking like, watching the movie, like bored, like, oh my God, I don't even want to be here, but I'm being here because I know that I'm going to do something dumb, you know, if I don't. So it is. It's very like real, you know, but I think, Pastor, you have a similar story of, you know, just placing yourself and when you ran away, you know? So, because I think, you know, they're listening, so they hear females, you know, but I know for guys, it's real too, obviously.
So check it out. This is what happens to me now. In this moment, I'm married. You know what I'm saying? I'm married and I'm in the car and I'm going to go get a room for like, I kind of mentor Brian Trejo, you know, Brother Brian from Kingdom Music. So I kind of speaking to his live, you know, I know him for a while now. And so I'm going to get him a room because he's not in Houston yet. And so I'm actually going to the thing, and all of a sudden, I'm telling you, the most Latina, like tatted out, you know, just like, you know, I mean, she's like chilling right there in front of the room. And I'm going to go in the room, and she like even gives me the, you know, like the thing. I don't know, the look, you know, all that, right? And she's like, hey, she starts dialoguing with me, so I kind of go, hey, yeah, but I run in the room and I close the door and my heart starts beating, and I mean, she literally like, hey, what are you doing? Like, da-da-da-da, you know, like literally, like, of course that doesn't happen to me when I'm in the world. It happens to me now. I'm like, really? Now? Like, it can, you know? And so I literally had to make a decision. Now, it's going to sound crazy, but I'm pretty sure you understand me. I'm like, I'm going to get out of this room and I'm just going to run. And so I literally get out the room, and she like is right there. She never left. She was actually waiting. And so I get out. And she wasn't like busted. She was like, she was like, there's like fine, but then there's like dirty fine. You know, like for guys, that's like dangerous, right? So I'm like, oh my God. And I'm she waiting, you know? So I get out and I literally start running. She goes like, hey, and I go, I gotta go. I'm going home to my wife, you know, and I run down.
Period.
I get in the car, and when I start driving home, I call a good friend of mine just to kind of tell him what's going on. And I said, just stay on the phone with me for a little bit, you know? And my reason for that was because I know while I have another Christian brother on the phone, I'm not going to think dumb and drive back.
Right.
Because I you know, the problem I think in society today is that most people lie to themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't really give that true, like for me, if I'm not on the phone, I'm in my own thoughts, and I might say something stupid like, oh, I think I forgot, you know? And I'll go back like an idiot, knowing I did not go back to look for $20 I dropped or whatever, you know? I'm going back. I will make a figment of my imagination and be like, I think I dropped $20. Like, no, you did not drop $20. And she's still standing there. And you know why you're going back. If we would be more real to ourselves, I feel like every time in life that I have fallen, it has been because I can create my own narrative. The devil doesn't even need help. I create my own. No, I'm not going to go in there. There's 4 chicks, you know. I'm not going to go in there and party. Like, yeah, you're going to party. They're all partying. You're going to party.
Right.
You're like, I'm not. I'm just going to go in there, say hi real quick, and then leave. And then it's 3 a.m. and you're there. You know, so you're
still there.
Yes, I believe that in those moments. And immediately after that, I also called my wife. Because I think a lot of times the problem is that when you have a good relationship, you're able to talk about these things. And so I was like, girl, you're not gonna believe this. And of course she's like, where's she at? You know?
Right. But I think I left my $20.
Yeah, I think I on my way. Yeah. But just her understanding and her also seeing the vulnerability and the honesty that, yo, man, I'm struggling right now. Like, I'm going home, girl. Be waiting for me. You know, because right now I'm tripping out. I'm like, you know, it's like that because those are real things. And I think a lot of times we, you know, what I'm hearing from you is basically the same thing. You're basically saying you're gonna do what you need to do. It don't matter if you look at me and you're like, you ran. Like, I ran. I know I needed to run.
And you're not the first person. Who else ran? Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua. Joseph too. Joseph.
Yeah.
He took off. Joseph was like, I'm out. Well,
you're right. Joseph ran.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a good thing. Like, sometimes when you're called, you know what I'm saying, the enemy is gonna try you. So it's like, just like Joseph ran, you gotta go. I gotta go. Yeah, fact. Like,
it's the only thing in the Bible, you know, that it tells us that we could stand up to the wiles of the enemy, right? Like, we could stand to the wiles. But the only thing in the Bible that says flee from is sexual immorality. The only thing.
Yeah.
So hey, you could stand up to the devil with it for anything except that. Like, you gotta go. Run. It's like, run, Forrest.
And that's the only thing that you do unto yourself. Like, the Bible talks about how that's the only sin that you can do unto your own self.
Oh man.
You know?
I feel like, especially like, I'm gonna blast this everywhere, you know. Y'all kids need to listen. I mean, even adults, I feel like it's so important in a time like this. It's always been, but especially now, the now times, like, there has to be people out there that people could see the light by way of our walk. You know, we reflect the light. I feel like that's really important, you know?
Yeah, for
especially
sure.
dating, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, and like you were talking, Porsha, it starts in the thoughts. Right, because there's probably people out there who are like, well, you know, I ain't did nothing in a while either. You know, I'm good. But what do your thoughts look like? You know what I mean? Because the enemy's in our thoughts too, you know? And so that's where, like you said, the seed is, you know? And so it's, you know, the Bible talks about even if you look at a woman a certain way, right? You're already sinning, right? And vice versa for females and men, right? Because I think, like you were talking about, Pastor Juan, it's all about being honest with yourself and being true to yourself, right? We know what's in our thoughts. We know what we struggle with. We know what we have to do to overcome it. So the minute that, I mean, because God knows, He's just waiting on us to, like, be honest with ourselves. You know what I mean? So that He can help you, because He's not gonna, like, you know, we're not His robots. He's not gonna be like, okay, well, don't do this. You know, He's waiting for us to be honest with ourselves, and like you said, surround ourselves with the right people, the right believers, have accountability.
Come on.
You know, because that was one thing that for me, you know, was very difficult. And Pastor Juan knows he's my pastor, so my pastor, my boss, you know, my spiritual father, my friend, all of the above, you know. And so for me personally, whenever I took that step of being vulnerable and honest, you know, and actually being held accountable by somebody else, you know, because I think sometimes what we like to do, I feel like, I don't know if it's older or millennials, you know, but you know, just as much as people church hop, I feel like they also kind of like accountability hop, to where it's like, I'm going to tell this person this much and they know this much of my life, and I'm going to tell this person because this is what I'm comfortable with, you know, because we're so much into the, like, be careful who you let in. Right? But it's like, hold on, are we being careful who we let in, or are we just lying to ourselves and painting this narrative to this person and this narrative to this other person so that we cover our tracks, right? Because and I'm speaking because I know I've done it.
Hey, she's like,
you know?
I was a hopper.
I
was a hopper.
Where it's like, you know what, I want to share this much of my life, but not this much. But there's so much healing that comes whenever you're able to confess and have a friend that prays with you, that holds you accountable. That's where the healing, you know, really comes from.
Friends are for.
Yeah.
You need it.
And
you need it.
Yeah. And you know what? We love doing segments. So, you know, we've talked about purity, all that stuff. And Porsha, man, you're just amazing. I love the glow. Look at the glow.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, you be like, hey, it's so good. But we love doing some segments here on This Is Real. And so we want to have some fun with you, too. All right?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to start and kick it off with Dear Younger Me.
Dear Younger Me.
So, Porsha, you young. You know, you're 29, girl.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's a time in your life where you're not that not that we regret anything,
Yeah,
right? Because God always utilizes everything for the good,
Yeah.
you know. But
Sometimes
that you would
regret,
wish,
but
but we would wish that we could maybe go back to the younger version of ourselves and give ourselves a really good piece of advice, you know. And the reason why we do this is because there's people listening who might relate to where you were in that time, or may know somebody who's currently, you know, going through that. So paint us a picture.
Yeah.
Take us
What
back
age?
to Porsha,
where you going?
age, whatever, and tell us what was she doing? What did it look like? You know, what was she dealing with?
Okay, so I'm not gonna go too far back because, like I said, like my childhood was banging, you know. So I wouldn't change too much about that. But if I can go back to 26, like 26, 27, somewhere around there, and I was in cosmetology school, and I was struggling, financially. I was broke. I was so broke that if I found like quarters in the couch or like, you know, like anything, I would just, you know, be happy about it. I was so broke that in the school I created this idea to have a lunchbox to where if you brought in like canned goods and stuff like that, you would get coupons to get like your haircut or a free dress day or something like that. And the school was like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm hungry. So I want y'all like, I think it's a good idea, you know, to this day, they still have the lunchbox in the school.
That's cool.
Nice.
But I would say to myself, just trust the process. You know, like I was so discouraged. I got into a car accident. I had a Range Rover, you guys. So like I had a really nice car, you know, and I crashed it. Because I was tired. Like that's another story. But but it was a lot going on in my life. I was at the most stressed I've ever been. You know,
the process.
Just trust the process. Trust that God got you. You know, now I have a better job. Even though I do music, I still got to pay bills. You know, it's like, you know, now I have a better job. Now I'm just in a much better place because I decided to, you know, just trust God. So I would say that to myself. Don't stress.
Don't stress. Don't stress. It's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. You know. Yes. Sometimes we get so caught up in the moment that we don't see the van. I remember standing on top of the Empire State Building, and I was looking, and I don't know. I felt like God was speaking to me because I could see like 3 streets down. I could see the car coming this way, and then I could see the other one coming this way, and I could see the guy walking. And God was like, I see everything.
Wow.
When you're down there walking, you only see what's in front of you. But he's like, I see the beginning, the end, everything in the middle. So that's why we have to listen, because he knows when to tell you to make a left, make a right, because he sees what's coming around the corner. You know? And a lot of us, we get so caught up in that and not thinking that God, we make God just a regular man. You know, we're like, come on, brother. You know, no, God knows all, and He knows exactly what we need, and He's loving. He's a loving Father. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's cool.
And to endure it, like to just endure like I was talking to my friend yesterday, and she's going through one of my friends, and she's going through something, and she's like, "Well, I'm just gonna fast." And I'm like, okay, like I want you to fast, but don't think that because you're fasting, your problem is gonna go away. You know, like I'm like, don't think you're gonna fast the problem. You're gonna fast the test away. Like fast, you know, do that, get your spirit together, but that's not gonna change your situation.
I think fasting just gives you that strength too.
The strength to endure.
You
know, and it's like you have to endure it. You have to go through it. God recently told me, like, you've been playing it safe. This was like 3, 4, or 5 days ago. He told me, like, you've been playing it safe. You've been walking around the mountain. You know, like, I want you to climb it. I want you to go through it. I want you to don't play it safe, you know, and it's like you have to endure it. You got to go through it.
Come on.
So
hey.
Good.
That's good stuff.
And I like that. That's that age. I feel like a lot of times when you're at 25, 26, there's just like this weird, you know, society, you know, your own thing, to where like in our head somewhere when we were younger, we thought we had to have it all figured out by 25. I don't know where that number came from, but I feel like a lot of people, maybe for men it's like 30 or 40, but I feel like sometimes
for women,
it's like 25.
25.
We think we have to have, you know, have it all together by then, you know.
Well, and now even it's worse, right? Because now everybody looks at social media and what everybody's like, don't compare, but the reality is that people are looking at social media thinking their life is ending. You know, because if you look at, if you're going through a tough time and you're having to scroll and everybody look happy, you're like, everybody happy but me, you know. So it's
like, how they get 4 weeks of vacation?
Yeah,
what is that?
Yeah. They're old pictures, you know.
Yeah, they're just reusing the same one.
That was 2 years ago at the family reunion that they auntie paid for.
Yeah, that is so good. Okay.
Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, so the next one, which I know you're gonna keep it real, right?
Oh,
yeah,
hold
I got
on.
you.
Hold
Okay,
on.
go ahead.
In Dear Younger Me, what would you say to somebody that just started, maybe is doing music?
Yeah.
What you know about music now? What would you say to them that's maybe doing worldly music and stuff? Or like something to that extent. Like, what would you say to that young girl who's aspiring, you know, young Porsha Love, she in the clubs, cigarettes, they be popping bottles, all this stuff is going on. What would you say based upon what you know now to that young girl?
I would just say that your life is about to change, and and that the decision that you're going to make is going to be for the better. Because when I got saved, I stopped rapping. Because I didn't know of Christian rap.
Yeah. You're like,
so
I can't do it no more.
Yeah. And at first I was completely fine with that. I'm like, I was so afraid of dying and not, living for God. I was just like, oh, well, like, I didn't give up everything else. This ain't nothing to you. Like, forget it. I just won't rap.
I'll rap in the shower and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm like, go up, worship music it is. Hallelujah. Like whatever. So I would really just say, like, just lean to God. Like, if I could go back to the younger me with my music, I would just say just trust God. Like, like I said, trust the process. It's gonna be cool. Challenging, but I had to live a little bit. Like, I couldn't just get saved and then start rapping Christian music.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Like, you can anybody can rap secular, but it's like when I got into God, I had to live a little bit. I had to learn of people of the Bible. I had to learn life. Then my stories were different. Yeah.
Because you still gotta grow inside. If not, you're gonna be doing Christian rap, dropping F-bombs. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh my bad.
Exactly. Like, oops. Yeah. thought I was done doing that.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay, so the next one we're
okay. I like this one.
Yeah, we're doing. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is You Think You Know Me, right? Because we're talking about social media right now, and so we see Porsha Love on Instagram, and you might see her off of YouTube, and a lot of times we do that. We judge early, looking at someone, whether they have a following or not. You see someone on the street and you think, oh, well, that girl must be this, or that guy must be that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Right? Nowadays. And so even more so with social media. So I'm sure you have misconceptions, right? That people see you or they hear of you, they visit you, so
they judge you off of that one Instagram story and they say all this stuff, but really they don't even know you.
Right.
Which is what's happening in America. People will take a clip, and out of that clip, it's like you can't have a bad day, or even if you're having a good day, but they don't really know you, they create the rest of the narrative. So that's why we created the You Think You Know Me.
Think You Know Me, yeah.
Because, you think you know me, like this is really what it is. Like, even though you think it's this. So what's that for Porsha Love?
Yeah, set the record straight. What do they usually assume or judge
she's like,
wrong?
Well. She's like, well.
It's a few things. I would have to say, as far as like dating, I'm very shy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like,
wow. Y'all didn't think that because of your personality, the way you're like,
I know.
Yeah, what? Very like, I almost want to bring you down here. You know what I'm saying? I like it.
I love Texas, so
nice.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, when it comes to, I think that kind of has a part too of why I've, kind of been single, because if I like a guy, most of the guys that I am attracted to, they think I don't like them because I don't speak to them. And then a lot of guys that I don't like think I do like them because I'm like, I'm all chatty and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's the total opposite. It's like, I'm very shy when it comes to like, I am. Wow, I hate it though. My friends are like, grow up, girl. You need to grow up.
Yeah.
Like, they give me no mercy.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
you're shy for what you need to be shy. Because right now you're kicking it.
Right.
You're like, look, I'm live right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, this is me. This is my
maybe
element.
That's what's protecting you. Maybe that's protecting you from, this whole purity thing. Maybe God's giving you the extra grace, and that's why.
Yeah.
You're like, you revert a little because maybe you got more going on. Maybe that's like a protection thing. Come on.
Yeah, for real. Because he gonna have to put in the work. Like if you're interested, you really have to approach me. I can't do it. I can't be the girl that's like.
Now your DM's about to blow up. Your DMs, they're like, I told you she liked me. They're like, I told you.
I spoke too soon.
They're like, I told you.
Wait,
I knew she did. In her quietness, she was telling me.
They're like, she liked me. She didn't even say hi.
Yeah, that's how guys see. Yeah, that's how guys see.
I'd be like, they like, oh, I don't think she likes me. Like I've heard people say that, and I'm like, no, I do. I just don't like. I'm a little weird. So
yeah,
that's cool though. That's cool. I would have never expected that.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people with like outgoing personalities and stuff like that, people do have that like assumption that. Oh, they're just like that all the time, and they're just in every aspect. I think, a lot of times with you too, they're like, oh, but Pastor likes chilling too, he's loud and funny, but he's very serious sometimes too.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the streets. I'm still getting that.
Right.
Right.
I have my strengths.
Yeah, I'm a no nonsense guy, I guess. I was that way in the streets, and I feel like even in Christ, it's more like I feel like God's kind of helped me with like being gentle, kind, all that, to be able to communicate with somebody rather than going off on somebody. But I let's just sit down and talk. I don't like the whole like, if I gotta say this about this person, well then tell them, tell them,
right?
Don't tell me. I don't want to. I got enough stuff. Like, don't tell me about them unless you're willing to sit and talk to them
in front of them, right?
Nonsense guy. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I get serious quick. It's like, why are you telling me? Like you're telling me because you want me to go tell them something, or you telling me because you really care? Because if you care, we can all sit. And then it's like,
exactly.
Cause sometimes they'll be like, nah, just letting you know, I don't want to. I'm like, whatever.
So no, we're not going to.
So you can pray for them. Yeah, that was
I don't like
well,
that.
Let's pray together. Like,
Fact.
We're about to pray.
Fact. Because if you care, then you would want that other person to know also, despite of what it might rub wrong a little, like you said something, but hey, I said something because I care. That's why we're all talking together. But I'm
like that. I can't do that. Like I hate division. I hate should we just be cool? Like we don't gotta be friends, we don't gotta hang out, but like I don't like that friction. Like it's just annoying. It's like, why are we mad? Why don't be mad? Like it doesn't matter.
Yes, come on. Hey, you talking about language. That's why we got, the whole love thing. The whole love thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really important too, because I don't know, for some reason when we're in church and as believers, it's like we forget how to do that. But it's like you did it in the world, and you do it probably every day if you're in a corporate setting, or if you're in a, like I used to be a chef, and in the kitchen, you wasn't best friends with everybody you was in the kitchen with, you know what I mean?
Right.
But all of a sudden when we're believers, it's like, oh, well, I can't go to that church because so-and-so is there. Or, I'm switching this circle because this and that. And it's just like, no, like you said, we don't have to be best friends. But at the end of the day, like, if we're called to love our brothers and sisters, then you're going to get along with people, even if you
Yes.
Just be normal.
I agree.
Spend time with them every single day, I
agree. And I think, like, God gave us, I feel like God went like this, and everybody got a little bit of God,
Yeah.
And I feel like if this hand, has a destiny. Right, to like grab this mic or grab this cup of coffee right now, but it has a destiny. But like it's nothing without the wrist, so it has to connect.
Right.
And if the hand and the wrist were going to talk to each other, they probably don't have a lot in common. They just need each other. They need each other though. Two hands might kick it hard, but this wrist, he's like, man, all I do is bend. You know what I'm saying? All I do is bend. He's like, man, that's all you do. You don't pick nothing up.
You can't grab nothing.
Yeah, but they need each other. And then you got even two hands, right? This hand, if you're a righty, this hand just come along with you. He don't get mad that this hand do all the work. He just like, yo, if you're picking up a box, I got you. So we got to look at.
If you're trying to write your name,
yes. We got to look at life like that. Sometimes you might be so different because of the different gifting or the different thing that you're supposed to do, but you might need that person to get you to the next place.
Yeah, because the hand can't do much without the wrist, you know. So we need each other, and we're connected to one another, right?
Yes.
So you can't live this Christian walk without your brother and sister, right? You can't. You might be able to. You might have to be alone for a little bit, you know, in the sense of like separating yourself, like we were talking about earlier. But at the end of the day, we all need, you know, we all need fellowship. We all need accountability. We all
need somebody. Hey, I'm
absolutely
in there. Okay.
Yeah. And we're stronger together.
Yeah, yes, exactly. we are.
We're stronger. Like the other hand. Like I can lift this table with my one hand, but if I have my other hand, I can really lift the table.
Come on.
I gotta hand it to you.
Right.
Hey, okay. Oh my God. Let's go. We got Marco, the media guy, you know, in the background. So funny. Just cracking up, you know, Big shout out to Marco.
We're gonna do the last segment real quick. And so, you know, you always hear everybody talking about the struggle is real. Well, this one we call the struggle was real. Right? So we heard a little bit about your purity walk and all of that. But I mean, it could be that, it could be anything, right? We keep it real and this is real. So we just want you to share something that maybe you struggled with recently or in the past. And, you know, tell us how that was for you, but mainly also how you overcame it. Because everyone listening right now, they might relate to what you've struggled with. And like Pastor, we were talking earlier, right? It's like sometimes we don't like to share. And we want to have, this
everything's perfect.
That like, oh, I don't struggle with this. And then sometimes people walk in and they feel like they're alone and they can't relate to anyone. And they're the only ones going through something. But I feel like the more that we're open, the more that we're transparent, the more that we share the struggles that we've gone through or that we're going through, I feel like it enables others to go through it as well. So share with us what your struggle was and how you overcame it.
Okay, so
the struggle was real.
No, the struggle was
she's
real.
Like, but we're gonna get real. But we're gonna get real.
She's like, it's like because it's a shifter. Okay. But my struggle was overcoming grief. So So I a lot of people may not know, but my mother passed away. So she had cancer, and when she passed, it was very difficult for me to understand. I was 23. I try not to like keep count. I was 23, so like 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So when that happened, it was really hard for me to move on. You know, I'm just like, oh God, I'm stuck. You know, I was just kind of like stuck, like, and then part of you don't want to move on. You know, when you lose people, you kind of feel guilty. Like, I don't want to move on. I don't want to, you know, who am I to live life? You know, like just all of that thing, all of that kind of just goes through your mind. No, thanks. Just all of that kind of just goes through your mind, you know, and then thank God for my pastors at the time. But even then last year, my first lady passed away. So she passed away and she was like my second mom. So, you know, she had cancer as well.
Wow.
So yeah, but she had breast cancer. So seeing that and going through that, you know, on top of my own mother, it was so lonely. Like I was so lonely. It was so difficult. It was hard, you know, just overcoming grief. So what I did was I completely learned to lean on God solely. Like I had to lean on God. I had to trust God. I had to like physically, you know, get around people that could pray for me, you know, that could pray me through it. Like that, the struggle was real, you know, especially with my first lady. With my mom, it was extremely hard, but God prepared me. But with my first lady, that shocked the world, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it was hard. So what I would say to anybody who maybe, you know, going through that, or they're like, oh, well, why God? Why is this happening to me? Why did this happen to me? You know, just know that God doesn't make mistakes. And because of what I have experienced in grief, I'm so much stronger. I'm so much more compassionate. I'm so much more, you know, like I just care more about life. Like I care more about my health. I care more about life. My value on things just went up, you know? So that's difficult. It's difficult.
What are some of the things you would, you know, I don't want to take you back there, but I'm gonna have to take you a little bit.
No, it's okay.
What are some of the things, so boom, this happens, right? Because somebody's probably listening right now, and I kind of just want to know, like, this happens, and what are some of the things that are going, because when you're stuck, that means that these thoughts are starting to formulate.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because everything's about our thought life. So it's not like these thoughts started formulating. So you're like on top of the world, then all of a sudden, boom, this happens. How were you feeling while all this is happening? I want you to take us to the moment where you stuck, and what are some of the thoughts that you were going through when that happened?
You're just exhausted. It's like when you just go through this and you go through that, you're like, okay, God, like this hit me and that hit me on top of like a lot of other things happen in between time. Even with me changing ministries, a lot of things happen in between that time, and you're just exhausted. So I said, okay, as long as I don't leave God, I'm good.
Do you start feeling like, man, I wish I would have did this with my mom. I wish I would have did that. Is that?
Yeah, heck yeah. I'm like, oh my, even though I knew, that she was leaving, I still wanted to, even like the other day, I'm like, man, I wish I was financially set to where I was able to spoil my mother, or, just like I wanted to give her the world, and it's, you miss those moments. You're like, oh, I wish I was able to do that. I wish I was able, I'm single, so I'm going to get married, I'm going to have children, so all of that, she's going to miss all of that.
So it would be fair to say that sometimes you added extra pressure in those thought life, right? Because the reality is that, I mean, it would be nice, right? All of us right now, I mean, we can do that, but if we're not there, you're not there. So you start adding, like, man, I wish I could have did this. I wish I could have did that. I wish I could have did this. Which makes it even harder, I guess.
Yeah, like the what if scenarios.
The what ifs.
The things that could have happened but didn't, and all of that. I feel like it's kind of like you torment yourself a little bit. And then we got
about 20 seconds. So anything you'd like to tell the people in the next 20 seconds?
I love you guys. This was amazing. Just be encouraged. I know the pandemic and the quarantine and everything is going crazy. Michigan is back quarantined. So I would just say, just be encouraged, and no matter what happens for the rest of 2020, enjoy.
How do they reach you? www, is there a website? Porsha Love?
Oh yeah, I am Porsha Love. Get the merch. I got hoodies and masks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're also gonna place the link here on the YouTube channel, so hey, check it out. Juan Martinez from This Is Real.
And I'm Stephanie Rave, and we're so glad you joined us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so you get notified every single time we have a new episode.
And don't forget, in Houston, Texas, on 100.7 FM, every single Saturday night, we're on the airwaves from 6:30 to 7:30, man, with real people, real problems, real solutions. The show is rocking.
Amen.
But not only that, not only is the show rocking, we're also reaching 53 cities, 51 state and county jails and prisons, and what we're doing is we're bringing the word to them. We're bringing them some laughter and some good times and some fire.
Amen.
And so for that, we need some partners. So if you want to partner with us, please click on the link below.
And don't forget to follow us on social media, #ThisIsReal, or on any other platforms, Pastor Juan Martinez.
Hey, that's a wrap. Peace.